Alberta NDP, MLA, and Finance Minister Joe Ceci delivered the second quarter fiscal update, and it's just not good news for Albertans. It was probably the shortest budget address ever, just over 3 minutes, showing that being light on details means that there's bad news. Revenue is actually up $1.3 billion, but expenses are up $1.7 billion. Here, Ceci explains this away using the Fort McMurray wildfires.
Yeah, well, it would point to the cause of the Fort McMurray wildfire on both revenues and expenses. We reported that out at the Q1, that there was about a $500 million impact as a result of the wildfires. So that's what you're seeing here still today.
Of course, this is a lie. The debt is increasing up to $10.8 billion this year. That's up over $700 million from when the last budget was passed. All because the Alberta government continues to waste money on things that the province simply can't afford and aren't priorities. Sure, the wildfires were a big expense, but the NDP aren't practicing or showing any signs of fiscal restraint. They're pumping more money into the healthcare system. They're paying millions into a $25 a day daycare system when we already have a subsidy program, more millions on a lunch program, and $500,000 into equality grants for women. All at a time when the province is paying over $1 billion for debt servicing. The NDP are spending our money like teenagers that have free rein with their parents' credit cards. Corporate tax revenues continue to decrease with a $900 million loss, and there's a 16% drop in business investment. Ceci assures everyone that Alberta is in the middle of the road, while denying that business hasn't been moving to different jurisdictions after the NDP raised taxes by 2% at the worst possible time for business.
That 2% increase in corporate taxes was to make us, to address something we felt was important, that if you're making money, you should be paying a little bit more. And we did that. That puts us in the middle of the pack if you look across the country in terms of corporate taxes.
Except, as I've mentioned several times, Saskatchewan will outdrill Alberta next year. When asked about hiring and wage freezes, there was the same old evading of the question.
We have hiring restraint on now, James. We've had that on for over a year. So that is helping to ensure that our operating expenses stay as low as we can make them. We are looking for great agreements with organized labor. That is the purview, of course, of a team that is looking at negotiating all contracts that are coming up. But that work's going to be done at the table to communicate both our financial outlook and I'm sure, like the doctors' agreement, there is a great willingness to help out in these difficult times. We have committed, of course, not to lay people off, not to fire people. We're not going to get back to balance on the backs of workers, nor on the services and programs Albertans rely on.
Chalk that up to throwing more money at the public sector. After all, Ceci does mention diversifying the economy and infrastructure, which really just means throwing more money at problems. Alberta health spending is increasing by $160 million from the last update. That's going to paying for our already bloated and poorly functioning system that has long wait times and unnecessary middle management bloat, while much needed frontline workers take a back seat. And then, of course, there's the carbon tax, the one that will solve all of our problems. When asked about whether it's a good time to implement the tax, this was Ceci's response.
Well, the carbon levy, fully implemented, still leaves us with a $7.5 billion tax advantage over other provinces. So we know that the carbon levy is the important social license that'll cause Canadians all across the country and frankly, people who buy Alberta oil to better appreciate that everything that can be done is being done to ensure that the oil that gets produced here and the use that that oil gets put to in our in our province is done in the best way possible. So my response is that the carbon levy was something communicated in terms of where this government's always been at. It's in line with the movement of other governments across the world and indeed our federal government.
Social license, that really worked out for BC, right? That province has had one in place for over a decade. And now that the U.S. won't be implementing a tax on emissions, we'll be at a serious disadvantage to jurisdictions that don't punish businesses with tax upon tax. Listen, I'm no accountant or economist, but I can think of several ways off the top of my head to have balanced out the $449 million in added spending from this update. Get rid of the Equality for Women grants, stop the coal phase out, cut Alberta health spending, get rid of the daycare program, get rid of the lunch programs, and decrease corporate taxes to attract more investors. Pretty simple. This update also showed that Albertans have reined their spending in significantly. Not surprisingly, since that's what happens during hard times. If only the NDP could take a lesson from the people that they govern. For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas. Hey, have you had a chance to subscribe to our premium content yet? For only $8 a month, you can get access to all of our full-length shows on top of our free content. Click the link to subscribe for content that you won't see anywhere else.